Hi everyone, welcome back to That's Mental. Today I'm going to talk about workplace trauma. This is the third video in the series. Thank you so much for watching and for your support on the previous ones. And I hope that you find this one interesting too. Today's topic is what to do if you're stuck in one of these traumatic situations. So basically, toxic work environment, or you have a toxic colleague. I would like to preface this by saying that sometimes it can be really hard to realize what's happening to you and to take a step back. And particularly when you're in the moment, it can be really hard to recognize that what's happening to you is traumatic or creating trauma, that it's toxic, that it's not normal. Sometimes it's not easy to see. But you might recognize it. You might start to have a feeling that something is up, something isn't right. You might start to recognize that the workplace is toxic or certain behaviors around you are toxic. So if that's the case, or if you've started to develop greater awareness and suddenly you're starting to realize all of these different things and signs around you that are pointing towards something being not normal, then there are certain things that you can do to try and get yourself out of this situation. It's also very important for you to know how to protect yourself and how to maintain your integrity in this kind of situation so that you don't let it derail you completely and so that you don't let it basically destroy you and make the situation even worse. So here are a few things that you can do to try and protect yourself and look after your mental health in this kind of situation. Okay, first of all, make sure to leave work at work. Really do your best to do not let it bleed into your personal life. The emotional and mental drain that this situation is going to cause you is only going to be amplified if you keep carrying it around with you after work, if you keep reliving the situation, talking about it and overthinking it and so on. It just gets worse. I know that it can be really hard to just leave work at work and create this separation, but you have to remind yourself that the reason that you're doing this is to protect yourself and for your mental health. So to try and put it into perspective, think about how this is you doing something positive for yourself, taking care of yourself, and really try hard to create that separation. The second thing would be to remove yourself from the situation. So if it's a colleague or if it's a project that's bothering you, that's not working out, creating the stress, then see if you can change teams, stop working on the project, stop working with that colleague. See what you can do to change the situation so that you don't have to be in it anymore. You're totally within your rights to do this. You don't have to put up with a situation that isn't serving you, that's causing you stress, and that's actually preventing you from doing your job. And it doesn't matter if your company or if your team is small. At the end of the day, you should be able to find someone who can help you navigate this situation. Of course, small company, small team means that it might be harder to step away from a project, but at the end of the day, the company's responsibility and the employer and manager's responsibility is to look after your well-being and make sure you can do your job. Speak up. So this is also very important. Even if people cannot help you, there's always someone who can listen and hear you out and just be that, that support. It's so important to have somebody that you can vent to, even maybe that you can cry with, just let it out. Having that emotional support, having someone that you feel is in your corner, really important. So speak up, regardless of whether or not it's going to end in a solution. Don't go through this alone. It's okay to feel overwhelmed and upset by the situation, and it's also okay to need and ask for help. So remember that when you're thinking about speaking up, speaking out, looking for someone to share and confide in, it's okay to do so, and in fact, sometimes it's really necessary for your mental health. The next thing that you can do is find out what policies your company has in place to support people with their mental health or people who are being harassed. So quite often companies either have a hotline or there's a dedicated person or support group, like some way to anonymously raise your concerns. So you can definitely do that. There's also ways for you to report someone's behavior if you think it's unethical, if you're worried about it. Also, for example, if you notice that someone is mistreating not just you but other people. So in theory, there should be ways for you to do that within your company. It can always be a good place for you to reach out and to share what's happening. Like I said, often you can also do this anonymously. So if you're just looking to get it off your chest, maybe even get some advice, because sometimes these people are used to dealing with this type of situation. They can advise you how to handle it and so on. And that can be a really big relief, because sometimes the challenge is that you just don't know what to do or how to get out of it. And then even if there's no dedicated group or hotline or something like that, there should at least be one person in theory who's not your manager, who's able to act as that kind of support and be that person to hear concerns. The next thing I want to say is find or reach out to your support group, or make sure you have a strong support group. And by that I mean friends, I mean family, I mean colleagues. I basically mean anyone who's going to be able to help you get through this difficult situation. Someone who can listen and give you advice if that's what you want. If there's one thing I've learned throughout this whole ordeal in these kinds of situations, it is so helpful to feel like you are supported, like there's people out there who understand you, who believe in you, who are going to give you advice, because there's really nothing worse than feeling so alone and feeling like you're going through it alone. I think it really compounds the situation and makes it even worse. So feeling supported, on the other hand, is so much more positive and is really going to give you so much strength that you need to get through the situation. On the topic of support, maybe reach out to a therapist or to a coach if you don't already have one. If you already have one, make sure you're talking to them and using them and really talking to them about your problems. It can be so important to have someone external, so who's not a friend, but who's removed from the situation. Just to help you think through it, to give you different perspectives, to help you deal maybe with how this is triggering certain events from your past. For sure, interacting or working with toxic people or being in a toxic environment doesn't help. But what I would say is that we also really have to recognize the role and the part that we ourselves play in this, and how our personalities and our stories are contributing to this negative environment, and how we're feeling and how we're reacting and coping or not coping with the situation. And in order to do that, professional help is so useful. So I would really recommend it. It can help you to, unpick the challenges that you're facing and just get some professional advice from from a third party. It's definitely going to be hard work to maintain your integrity and to stay sane and to stay strong throughout this type of situation. And that's precisely why it's so important for you to have help, whether that's professionally or personally, like I was saying before, making sure that you feel supported. It's also important that you take time to sit with yourself and coach yourself through this situation and be there for yourself. But what do I mean by this? I know that might sound a bit crazy, a bit far-fetched, so I'm going to explain. In toxic environments and with toxic people, they will often try and make you feel like you are the problem. They're often offloading responsibility. They don't want to admit, what they're doing wrong or their problems. So they're really good at handing over this responsibility, and in particular making you feel like it's your problem. You're the one who's doing it all wrong. You're the one who's messing it up. You're the one who's responsible. The list goes on. And this can be so damaging because, like I said, you're already stressed. You're probably already facing some self-esteem issues in a high pressure environment. Maybe you're already on the edge of burnout. So this is typically the kind of behavior that's really damaging. And it can come as well in the form of gaslighting or just general toxicity where the company won't take responsibility for its actions. That's why you need to be really strong within yourself and know who you are, so that you feel like you are not going to be swayed by this. It's not going to knock you over, knock you down, and that you can just stay sort of tall and strong like a tree in the wind, basically. So you need to know for a fact what your character traits are and that this isn't you. You need to be aware of all of your qualities and be confident that the situation cannot and will not change that. So here's a way that you could do this. You can sit down and start to list all of your qualities, like as many as you can. All of your, personality traits, the things that you think make you you, quirks, you name it. Of course, it should be positive though. If you're struggling to do this, then maybe ask some friends how they would describe you. Ask them to give you 3 words, or just ask them to tell you, and use that as your starting point to kind of build out, okay, what's your character, your personality traits, and the most positive things about you. Then sit with this list and let it sink in, like really sink in. You have to strongly trust and believe that this is true and that this is you. And in fact, I would recommend sitting with it every single day. I mean, it can be like a mantra, it can be like positive affirmations. It's just one of those things that you can do to really help boost your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your self-belief. So it's really important to take time to sit with it, especially when you're going through a hard time. I know it might sound a bit crazy, but being anchored in yourself, truly anchored in who you are, is one of the best ways that you can get through this type of situation. And of course, it's going to be hard. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt or affect you, but it means that you will be able to get out of it hopefully faster and with fewer scars than if you don't have this like inner strength and you're not anchored to who you are. Of course, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is remove yourself from the situation completely. Like, you know, I don't know, quit the job, quit the team, go to another country. But of course, this is not always an option. I know that, you know, depending on the circumstances, this can be really difficult. Not to mention, you know, the job market and so on. And of course, quitting is not always the solution in general. I mean, running away from your problems is just not the way to deal with them. But in certain cases, it can also be the best thing to do. So if that's available to you, I would say, you know, really think hard about it. Think about the reasons why you would want to leave a situation. Has it really become unbearable? Is it really, you know, too toxic? Is it too negative to your mental health? Are the consequences that bad that you say, okay, I really need to get out before this gets any worse? Then certainly take time to think about it. And again, looking at your support circle, whether that's friends or professional help, make sure to ask for some advice as well. If that's not possible to you, like I said, I really hope that some of these tips that I've shared in this video can help you to work your way and through and navigate this kind of difficult situation. I know that it's hard. It's really important to know and to remember that this doesn't last forever. It might feel like it, but the situation eventually will end. Things will change and you will be able to get out of it. So yeah, I hope this helps you as you work your way through it. And if this is you and you're in this kind of situation, I'm wishing you a lot of strength, a lot of luck, and trust that this is going to get better. Stay strong. You got this. Thanks for watching.